We're about to tell you all about this complete storage system from Orangeboxx Fab.
And show you all the details about how to install it.
Modifying a Toyota for adventure travel? Looking for tips on camping, off-roading, or overlanding? Maybe we can help. One of the many great things about Orangeboxx products is that they're totally customizable. For our FJ, we chose the short Overmax window panel for the passenger side and the full coverage for the driver's side, the attic and all of its mounting hardware, and the drop-down pet barrier. Only tools needed to install all of this are... Before we put these side panels in the FJ, we need to do a little prep work. We'll put these top brackets on now. This one is for the passenger side. The arrow points to the back of the vehicle. Line up this bracket with these two holes on the top of the panel. Next, take this small bracket and line up these two holes underneath with the panel. To secure them, we're going to use these small bolts, washers, and lock nuts. We're going to leave these a little loose at first until we get the other bolts in. To bolt the big shelf bracket on, we're going to use these bolts and nuts. Now we can tighten down these top two bolts. This panel's all done, and we've already done the same exact thing to this large panel. There's a little bit more involved with this large panel. We have to bolt on these two spacers at the very bottom. Note that they are two different lengths. The shorter of the two goes to the rear of the FJ, using these bolts and washers. We also have this handy basket that we're going to put on ours on the driver's side. And we've already determined exactly where we want it. To bolt it on, we need to use these long bolts. And these are going to be impossible to put in through the back side once the panel's in place. So we're going to do it now. All right, these are all set to go in the FJ.
All right, we no longer have them in our FJ, but you will likely have two, I think they call bag hangers, mounted right here. You'll need to remove those on both sides. Then you're going to need to remove this garment hook. I think that's what it's called. Use a little flathead screwdriver, pry that open, 10 millimeter socket, gets it right off. And you'll need to do this on both sides. Now we're going to put in the driver's side first. We're going to start by mounting it at the top here using that same garment hook and bolt. Uh-oh, mine just broke. All right, don't break yours. And that goes into the same hole. If anybody has an extra laying around, get a hold of us. We need one. And we're going to leave this bolt really loose for now. Then we're going to take long bolt, long spacer, put the spacer behind, and this bolt is going to go in where those bag hooks were. Goes in this hole right here. Run that in. Get it started. Another bolt and spacer goes through this oval shaped hole right here. Place the spacer behind, put that long bolt in. Come on. Then aim for that hole. Then we'll just tighten them up. All right, driver's side is on. We'll move over to this side. We'll be using these bolts and short spacers on this side. They go in this hole here. They're a little bit egg-shaped. bolt through, spacer through, and into the side of the FJ. Now we can go ahead and put in that attic shelf. On both sides you're going to have this tab sticking down. That has to go in down through that slot in this angle bracket. Just like that. We're going to bolt that shelf on with these nuts, bolts, and washers. I'm going to start these carriage bolts coming up through the bottom and then through the shelf. Put on a washer and that lock nut. 3 on each side. Now the pet barrier can go in. To help us out, we're going to attach the latches first to kind of hold it up in there. Just be careful you don't bend down in this. You don't want to bend these prongs of the latches, but that'll hold it in place for now. This hardware is going to serve as the hinges for that pet barrier. So we're going to start the bolt, one little washer, and then this nylon washer here. And that is going to go through this pivot hole in the shelf. Then another nylon washer on it, and then through this hole in the shelf up here. Then on the back side of that, another small washer and that lock nut. And again, the bolt, a small steel washer, then that nylon washer through that fold down pet barrier, nylon washer in between, then put it through the hole of the upper shelf. Then on the back side of that, steel washer and the lock nut. Now we can tighten these down, but do not tighten these down all the way because this does serve as your hinge. If you tighten it down all the way, it won't go up and downy. I got it tight. Now I'll loosen it up and make sure it swings. But it needs to be snugged up enough to where this won't rattle. And that works really good. Now the other side. One more piece to put in. This goes in the front here to keep stuff that's up on the shelf from flying forward when you hit the brakes. Using these 4 bolts, washers, and lock nuts. We're going to go up with the head of the bolt facing downward through the shelf and into that barrier, and then a washer and nut on the top side.
So this is more than a pet barrier. If you're like us, our pets sit in the front seat with us. But this will help prevent gear from shifting forward. And the shelf is going to come in really handy for stuffing our jackets or whatever. And I especially like that we didn't have to drill any holes to install it. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button.
And we hope you consider subscribing to our channel. Thanks for watching.